We will go on to the theories and techniques of group counseling with relationship-oriented approaches. Um, they are known as experiential approaches as well, and actually including all of these relationship-oriented approaches, which are existential, psychotherapy, um, person-centered, or psychodrama, all have in common some characteristics. Okay, so we will briefly go over these, and afterwards I will keep you responsible for going through the basic concepts of these theories, but I will mention how the therapeutic goals are achieved and what are the basic techniques each theory utilizes. I will mention those points. Actually, in all of these approaches, the quality of the therapeutic relationship is important. And this therapeutic relationship is mainly set between the therapist and the group member. But also, since we are talking about group counseling, also the relationships among the clients are considered very considerately, okay, very closely. In all of these approaches, you will see that techniques are coming at the second place. For example, for existential approach, generally it is said that they don't have a specific set of techniques that they utilize, but they may adopt some other techniques from other theoretical approaches. This is valid for all relationship-oriented approaches. And the techniques being used are not more important than the relationship set in the group counseling sessions. And actually, techniques are considered to be the tools to help the members become aware of their choices and their potential to take action for their own lives and for their own selves. And the quality of the leader to member encounter in the therapeutic situation is the catalyst for the positive change. They say that if there is a good, trustworthy relationship, especially between the client and the group member, then this will be enough for the group member to um, start the change for growth in him or herself. And in general, emphasis is placed on the leader's ability to establish a climate that fosters authentic interchanges among the members. This means that we aim as therapists, we aim to foster our clients to be authentic, to be real, to be honest, to be able to comfortably disclose themselves. So this is our responsibility to set up such an atmosphere. And the I-door relationship, which is a genuine, sincere, person-to-person connection, enables members to experience the safety necessary for risk-taking behavior. When we are talking about risk-taking behavior, this means challenging your pre-existing behavioral patterns, which will lead you to change in your life. So in order to change something, you risk something. You try something new. So for this genuine relationship is very important. And awareness emerges within the context of a genuine meeting between the leader and the members, or within the context of authentic relating. This means that, as I've said before, the relationship between the therapist and the member and the relationship among the group members will lead to be attentive, will lead to be accepting for other members, okay? And as a result of these, other members who feel that they're accepted unconditionally in a group setting will be more eager to take action to get awareness for themselves. To go on with the key concepts of generally relationship-oriented experiential approaches, actually the group leader's main role is to be present with the members during the group time. One way to increase this presence is through appropriate self-disclosure by the leader. This means that leader will model the group in terms of being genuine, being authentic, and being open to disclose him or herself. Members can best be invited to behave authentically by the group leader who is modeling the authentic behavior, as I've said. And we are always talking about our ethics, our values, and the condition that we should be aware of our values. And here, for relationship-oriented approaches, a therapist's attitudes and values are at least as critical as are their knowledge, theory, and techniques. Okay, we are actually talking about the personality, the characteristics, and therapists being aware of him or his or her inner conflicts, values, etc. If the group leader stays at a level just to practice some skills, then he will be like a technician, then a skilled facilitator. But what we ask for in experiential approaches is leaders being facilitator, leaders facilitating the growth in the group members. And according to relationship-oriented approaches, the basic work in a group is done by the members. A leader's job is to create a climate in which members are likely to try out new ways of being. That climate includes the situations where people can accept, trust each other, where they listen to each other, where they empathize with each other, okay? And this is the responsibility of the group leader to set up such an atmosphere. And attending to feelings is a useful route to changing one's thinking and behaving. And counselors who operate in the framework of the relationship-oriented therapies are much less anxious about using the right technique, because you can guess techniques are coming at the second line when compared to the relationship set up between the therapist and the group member. I think it's okay. So to briefly go with, to start with existential approach, you already know about existential perspective. At the basis of it, it holds the view that we define ourselves by our choices. And at the basis of it, they say that we are free human beings. We are free beings, and we can choose for ourselves. But of course, every choice will bring some consequences. And at the end of the consequences, we should take the responsibility of these consequences of our choices. At the basis, you can say that existential therapy holds on such a philosophy actually. And they say that in order to develop a meaningful existence, actually we should create meaning in our lives. Meaning is not something that we always look for somewhere in the world, but we create it, okay? And to go on, basically, existential therapy holds 6 key propositions. These are: we have the capacity for self-awareness. Because we are basically free beings, we must accept the responsibility that accompanies our freedom. We have a concern to preserve our uniqueness and identity. We come to know ourselves in relation to knowing and interacting with other people. The significance of our existence and the meaning of our life are never fixed once and for all. Instead, we recreate ourselves through our projects. Anxiety is a part of the human condition, and that is the ultimate truth. And if we are at the awareness level that is the ultimate truth in this life, then this will trigger us to live our lives to its full potential. And of course, knowing and being aware that that is the ultimate truth in our lives, this will bring us ultimate aloneness as well. This means that we come to the world alone and we live here, we die alone. Okay, to go on with therapeutic goals of existential therapy, actually its principal goal is to assist the participants in recognizing and accepting the freedom they have to become the authors of their own lives. And in this regard, group leaders encourage members to examine the ways in which they are avoiding their freedom and the responsibility that accompanies it. In such a situation, a group counselor actually questions whether the group members are writing their lives, or if they are the authors of their lives, or if they live their life by meeting the expectations of other people. This is questioned in the group counseling sessions. And they say that actually, as it was mentioned in Adlerian and Freudian approaches, the group counseling sessions, the group itself is seen as a microcosm of the world. And the members are encouraged to discover themselves as they are sharing their existential concerns. We already mentioned about this therapeutic relationship in the entrance part, and nothing to add, I guess. Actually, I had said about this that experiential approaches are free to adapt their interventions to their own personality and style. They are not bound by any prescribed procedures or techniques to use. They can adopt any other techniques from other therapy schools. So they are flexible in their interventions. To go on with the person-centered approach, which was proposed by Carl Rogers, actually you already know that there are some key assumptions that are common in experiential approaches, and you will see that they always focus on the constructive side of human nature. They believe that as is existential approach, people have the capacity for self-growth. They have their own strengths. They can decide on the ways to change, and so they trust in the group members that they can take active role and responsibility in the group. And the goal of person-centered therapy is to provide a climate of safety and trust in the therapeutic setting so that the client, by using this therapeutic relationship for self-exploration, can become aware of blocks to growth. Still, this approach minimizes directive techniques like being directive to the clients, to the group members, taking a higher model in the sessions. Rather, group members are trusted to identify personally meaningful goals and define their own way without active and directive structuring from the group leader. The group leader does not make too much interpretation, does not make too much confrontation. Rather, the group leader sets the relationship, and in that accepting relationship, the client type of finds his or her own way by exploring his strengths, his resources. You already know about the general conditions of therapeutic relationship, as they are all common in experiential therapies. Of course, the therapeutic climate should foster all of the group members to interact with each other. It is said that especially person-centered therapy is very comfortable to use with diverse cities, to work with multicultural groups. since there is unconditional positive regard for every human being. So this technique is mostly utilized with diverse groups and multicultural in multicultural settings. To go on with Gestalt approach, actually the existential and phenomenological approach based on the assumption that individuals and their behavior must be understood in the context of their ongoing relationship with the present environment. And at this point, also Gestalt therapy focuses on here and now, as especially person-centered approach does too. The key to Gestalt therapy is unfinished businesses. These unfinished businesses are the things that we weren't able to end up in our past. So in a group setting, in Gestalt therapy, bringing these unfinished businesses from the past into the present are taken very seriously, and the group members are confronted to deal with these unfinished businesses. They are actually asked to bring those things to awareness, and afterwards the ways to deal with these unfinished businesses are sought. And also Gestalt therapy thinks or states that there is an energy we have in ourselves, and there are some blocks to these energies. If we get aware of these blocks to the energy, then it will resolve. And in Gestalt therapy, nonverbal cues are very important to be followed. As a leader, you need to pay attention to non-said, non-verbal gestures, cues, etc. in the group members. Basic aims of Gestalt therapy are to attain awareness and to gain more choice in life. Awareness includes both knowing the environment and persons knowing him or herself, and as a result, accepting oneself. In order to achieve this, of course, you should be able to make contact firstly with yourself and then with your environment. And as you see, therapeutic relationship is the same. But what we can add is attention to what and how and here and now are important in Gestalt therapy. And to consider the techniques, actually therapists function as a guide and catalyst. He or she shares observations. Basic work of therapy is done by the group members as it was in the other experiential approaches. And group leaders don't force change on the members, but they aim to move the group members from talk to action and experience in life. And specifically, Gestalt experiments take many forms. And in group counseling settings, setting up a dialogue between a group member and a significant person in his or her life is commonly used. And in order to utilize from this, maybe you should have heard empty chair. We utilize it. Şöyle ki arkadaşlar, grup içerisinde ya karşıdaki bir grup üyesi temsilci de olabilir ya da boş bir iskemle getirilir grubun önüne ve iki tane iskemle vardır. Birinde grup üyesi oturur, diğerinde boş bırakılır. Grup üyesinin konflikt yaşadığı ya da hayatındaki önemli bir insanla çözemediği bir şey olduğunda ya da unfinished business'lardan bahsettik. Bu bitmeyen işleri kiminle yaşadıysa onu çözebilmek için sanki karşısında o çatışmayı, o bitmemiş işi yaşadığı kişi varmışçasına bir kurgu oluşturulur. Kişi kendi sandalyesinde oturduğunda kendisi gibi konuşur onunla. Sonra boş sandalyeye geçer ve o karşısındaki muhatap olarak kabul ettiği kişi olur ve tıpkı onun yanıt vereceği şekilde yanıt verir. Sonra oradan kalkar, kendi sandalyesine oturur, bir şey kendi olarak bir şey söyler, sonra öbür tarafa geçer, öbür kişi olarak bir şey söyler ve bu deneyimin neticesinde hem grup üyelerinden hem de terapistin kendisinden geri bildirim ve bir parça analiz alınmaya başlanır. Bu teknik bu şekilde kullanılır olabilir. And in the group therapy session, painful events are relieved, and sometimes role plays are taken, as I've said, and sometimes a gesture, posture, or some non-verbal mannerism is exaggerated during the sessions. Also, carrying dialogue between two conflicting aspects within an individual is commonly used. Again, you can use empty chair technique in this. For example, a person is both angry and calm, and these two parts are conflicting with each other. Then, in the role play, calm part of the person may sit in a chair and the angry part may sit in another chair, and they may get in a dialogue, or the group members may represent one of these parts of another of the group member, and they may role play in this regard, in this sense. And to sum up, Gestalt therapy is truly an integrative orientation in that it focuses on whatever is in the individual's awareness. So we are not all, working with unconscious materials here. And feelings, thoughts, body sensations, and actions are all used as pathways to understand what is central for the client in each moment. And to go on with psychodrama, this is a group counseling, group therapy approach as well. And it is primarily an action approach to group counseling in which clients explore their problems through role-playing. They may enact situations using various dramatic devices to gain insight, discover their own creativity, and develop behavioral skills. And the scenes are played as if they were occurring in the here and now, even though they might have their origins in a past event or an anticipated situation. Actually, ben de psikodrama eğitimi aldım. Psikodramada bir grup bir araya geliyor arkadaşlar. Ve temelinde rol canlandırma var. O gün kim hangi konuyu çalışmak istiyorsa grup lideri onunla çalışmak için grubun önüne alıyor. Onunla grubun başlangıcında yürüyor. Onu tanımaya çalışıyor. Getirdiği sorunun, getirdiği durumun ya da çatışmanın içeriğini anlamaya çalışıyor. Ondan sonra yine grubun ortasında bir sandalye çıkartılıyor. Gestalt ile bazı terapi teknikleri birbirine benziyor. Bu kişi orada otururken konflikt yaşadığı yani ya da o bitmemiş bir işi olduğu kişi de karşı sandalyesine getiriliyor. Ve bu şekilde mesela bu tekniklerinden biri işte aile atomu diye çalışmaları var vesaire. Sadece bir tanesini anlatıyorum. Karşısındaki kişiyle konuşuyor. Karşısındaki kişinin diyelim ki babası ve gruptan bir temsilci seçildiği için gruptan seçilen kişi o kişinin babası rolüne geçiyor ve onu o şekilde canlandırmaya başlıyor. Sonra bizim grup üyesi babasına söylemesi gereken ve söylemek istediği her şeyi kendi başına rahatça söyleyemediği için onun aynısı olan double dediğimiz başka biri de ona eşlik etmek için, onun söyleyemediği şeyleri söylemesi için ya da bazen o asıl mevzusunu çalıştığımız grup üyesi bütün her şeye dışarıdan bakabilsin diye, onun yerine geçebilsin diye devreye giriyor. Genel olarak çalışmalar karşılıklı konuşmalarla ilerliyor. Gestalt'teki bu exaggeration dediğimiz kısım vardı ya, bazı gesture'lar, non-verbal cue'lar abartılır dediğimiz şey. Onun daha çok yansımasını psikodramada görebiliriz. Mesela kişi çok öfkelidir. Gerçekten odada mutlaka bir yastık, sopa bulundurulur. Yastıkla atıyorum ki babasına çok sinirli. İşte babası varmışçasına işte sopayla vurması, üstünde zıplaması, küfür edebilmesi serbesttir. Yani bunlar exaggerated hem verbal hem non-verbal teknikler olarak kullanılabilir. Tabii ki uzman bir lider öncülüğünde. Hani oradaki amaç sağaltımdır, duygunun sağaltımıdır. Genel olarak böyle zaten ileride link verdim. Bir psikodrama örneği de görebileceksiniz yurt dışından. Let's go on with English content now. Okay, using psychodrama, the client acts out or dramatizes past, present, or anticipated life situations and roles to gain deeper understanding, to explore feelings, and achieve emotional release. As I've said, you hit the ground to release your emotions. And these are very detailed. You can read the roles, okay, protagonist, antagonist, auxiliary ego, protagonist role, double, as I've said. The client is called protagonist. The member who takes over the protagonist role of conflict is antagonist, like in the example I gave, the father is antagonist. Auxiliary ego is yardımcı ego, and protagonist role, I said double. These are very details, you can just read them. And in psychodrama, problems are brought into the here and now. And reliving and re-experiencing a scene from the past gives the participant both the opportunity to examine how that event affected them at the time it occurred and the chance to deal differently with the event now. So clients are asked to behave and act as if they are experiencing that conflict they lived in the past, as if they are experiencing it now, okay? So the scene is acted out in the here and now perspective. And the therapeutic goal of psychodrama is to foster creativity in the individual, the group, and ultimately in the culture as a whole. They aim to facilitate the release of feelings, to provide insights, to help group members develop new and more effective behaviors. And catharsis is a natural part of psychodramatic process. These are rediscovering buried emotions, and these feelings must be worked. As a way of catharsis, as I said before, you can hit something, you can jump over something, you can swear out. These are the ways catharsis is provided in psychodrama sessions. And being understanding and respecting the group members' experience is important in psychodrama. And the importance of the therapeutic relationship is a healing factor is existing here as it is in all experiential approaches. And the leader has an active and directive role. The techniques are, as I've said, actually firstly, role-playing is utilized as a basic technique. While role-playing, the leader should be aware of the emotional reactions in other members, the members who are watching the scene in front of the group setting. And doubling, as I've said you before, doubles to the protagonist, to the client, is taken into the scene as well for the things the client is not able to say. And mirroring is protagonist, that means client's life or a scene from its visualized, and she watches it out. Actually, we take the client out of the scene, we put the double in the role playing instead of the client, him or herself, and here the protagonist, the client, is able to watch him or herself outside. This is mirroring. We are reflecting the real things she or he is experiencing in his or her life in a scene, in a role-played scene. And these are a bit detailed. Once I don't think that you need to know this because these will make you very confused, but if you are interested, you can read them because there are too much details, and without any practice, they are really difficult to know, because otherwise you will just need to memorize and it will not work for anything. So as I've said, you can just read. And here is a video on psychodrama. You can check it out, how it is implemented, how it's practiced. Thank you.